Welcome to the Church in the Wild podcast. You'll be hearing the words from worship from Sunday, June 1st, when we celebrate our 4-year anniversary as a community. If you'd like to learn more about Church in the Wild and our upcoming events and programs, just go to churchinthewild.org. Thanks for listening.
This ceremony is to honor and recognize the contributions and commitment you are already making to our community. So let us affirm our commitments. So I'm going to ask you these questions and you'll just respond, I will. Will you continue to contribute monthly to the well-being of our community with your presence, gifts, and service? If so, I say I will. Will you continue to be led by the Spirit, care for creation, and respect the diversity of our community? If so, say I will. Will you actively resist evil and oppression while sharing kindness and grace? Will you live intentionally, bringing restoration to the world? May you, let's put them on. You already did. Put them on if you haven't already, if you want to. May you always know the support of our community in the wilds of life. So don your buttons with pride wherever you go, knowing that you are connected to this great group of fellow wildlings. So whether you're here today for the first time or you've been here since the beginning, some of you have been, everyone belongs at Church in the Wild, and there's always an opportunity to deepen your commitment and get recognized for it. So if you're interested in being included maybe in our next belonging ceremony, just let us know. All right. Now we've got our poem.
Hi there, my name is Marcia, and I'm going to read our poem today. The poem is called Native by Steve Garnaas-Holmes. When I've hauled away the leftovers of our making and buying and throwing, pulled and carted off all the invasives, plants that seemed easy and harmless, cleared a space, open and blank, and fed the soil with the riches of its own forest floor, and planted blueberries and milkweed and other native species, then I wait. Soon cardinals and monarchs come, bluebirds and tanagers throng to my garden, because they are native, and they know they belong among plants like these. When I clear my mind of my greed, haul off all the shoulds and ought tos, and just wait, pretty soon I notice the beloved making nests in me, the whole divine family of God moving in, because they belong here. They have for thousands of years. It turns out, in the heart of my soul, God is a native species.
Robin Wall Kimmerer, Sacred Text, Braiding Sweetgrass. What happens when you plant a tree? What happens when you wield a shovel in one hand, a human artifact, and a tree, a provisional mystery in the other? What happens when you dig a hole, a Cali-like destruction, and plant a tree with it, an act of creativity? What happens when you learn about your local ecology, not just as an observer, but also a participant? What happens when you embrace the wildness of a tree being and integrate it into the semi-wild streets and streams of your local community? What happens when you crack open your isolated sense of self and plant within your heart this symbol of our ever-branching inner being? What happens when you consider your actions in terms of your ecology and your cultural legacy?
It's been 4 years. At our first worship service, for those who were there, you might remember this, I don't know. I told everyone that in that moment, they were a part of a dream coming true. Whenever I tell a story, and gosh, sometimes I feel like I've told it 1,000 times because everybody wants to know, how did you do this new thing? Well, I say God sassily suggested that I start something new back in 2019. And through the course of the 2 most tumultuous years of our lives, right, from 2019 to 2021, I said, okay, and I just started out. We got started. We started a new thing in the upheaval of the world. And the churchy word for starting a new church is called planting. And it really has felt like together we planted this tiny new little tree. And that's why I was so excited to include that quote from Braiding Sweetgrass about considering what it is when we plant a tree. You know, we're integrating our human technology and some destruction, you know, where we have to carve out space for it. And then we take this miracle, this mystery, and put it in the ground, and it converts sunlight into sugar and produces fruit, like an oxygen. What? It's a miracle. And I feel like that's what we've been doing. We've just been planting this tiny little sapling of a tree for the past 4 years together. We've nurtured and protected our community. We've watered it and watched it as new leaves are sprouting and roots are taking hold. And I've watched this community grow from a dream coming true to this collective miracle that you are seeing before you right now. A home for the spiritually homeless, as Caden called it several years ago. And so many people come to this gathering and say, I didn't know there were other people like me. I didn't know there was a church like this. This is how I've always thought church should be, you know, out in the creation. And so here we are. We've been doing that miraculous thing for 4 years now. I can't believe it. So we've been doing life together for 4 years. And Liz shared with me in preparation a little bit about the significance of the number 4 that I thought was really meaningful. 4 means balance and stability, right? I think about our perfectly rectangular rock. That's bricks have 4 sides that are stable. And it's a sign that we can mentally and spiritually afford to take the leap. Oh. Because we're supported and we know we'll be picked up even if we fall. 4 reminds us to focus on all angles of our being, right? As we talk about body, mind, spirit, emotional, mental, physical. And 4 is linked to the cycles of nature, of course. The 4 seasons, the 4 main phases of the moon. 4 phases of life, even. And it's a number of patterns and purpose, shifts and change. It's a sign of love and support and finding our inner strength together. So that's what I'm celebrating today. And I hope we're all celebrating finding that love and support that this community has brought to our lives. So I thought, instead of just standing up here talking the whole portion of our message, that this should be about our community, celebrating and sharing what you love, what brought you to Church in the Wild, what first piqued your interest, what got you here, and what has kept you coming back. So we have our podcast mic, and I want to give a thanks and shout out to Greg for doing some photography and video for us. I think it's exciting to hear from each other and to share with the world what brought us here and what keeps us coming back. So feel free, we can raise our hand like Hannah.
Literally, I was invited here by a friend who I worked with at the Bundy Museum at the time, who was going here. And at the time, I was kind of like expanding my faith, and I had found a couple online communities, and then he just so happened to be coming here, and he just so happened to be trying to help make it a spiritually diverse community, because he had like a degree in that or something along them lines. And so he invited me, and it was one of those thingies that just kind of happened, and it kind of worked out, and it kind of was just like, this thingied how it was supposed to thingy. And then why I kept coming back is for two reasons. One, I like the spiritual diversity, and two, I like being around sane Christians. It's really, really refreshing to be around Christians who are out of their goddamn minds. So, because unfortunately, my family, some of my family likes to go to mainstream Christian churches, and as we all know, those are a bit nuts. So, yeah, it's nice to come here. I told a old coworker of mine at my first job, I said, I go to my grandparents' church, I lose a few brain cells, and I go to church in the wild to get them back.
What an endorsement. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Put it on the back of the seat.
Who else? Kaden.
Hi, I'm Kaden. Why I've come, or how. So I am a really spiritual person. I believe in like energy, which is God, nature has energy, all of the things. And I was going through a hard time, I think, and one of my friends, who actually happens to be like one of my bosses now, not Corey, but showed me like the Instagram, and I was like, what? Like, what is this place? And I saw the nature, and I saw like the message, and like I held back for a while. I like didn't come, and I was just like scoping it out on social media because I have like a lot of religious trauma. I went to Catholic school up until junior year of high school, and like Roman Catholic, so it was like did all the sacraments and everything. And yeah, it was really strict. They were against like who I felt that I was. I felt like condemned for a really long time in that religion, stuck, trapped, like I was kind of in it against my will, which if you think about it, it's kind of how it is. Like babies get baptized into it. You don't really get a say or anything like that, whether you resonate with it or not. And yeah, at that time it was around COVID, and everything was really scary and isolated, and yeah, I just felt like really alone. I was spending a majority of my time alone, and after a lot of alone time, like, it's not as healthy as it should be. So yeah, I kind of just like forced myself. I'm not gonna lie, I like had been wanting to go for a really long time, and I was like, you know what, like, just show up, which is crazy because like not a lot of people, especially at my age, 30, like just show up to something like alone and sober, and you know what I'm saying? Like there, it's very hard to find like a sober crowd at my age. So it's like, I felt really like brave doing it. And then like once I sat here, I remember the specific day, and I'll never forget it. There was somebody here, and it was out on the porch, and they had hula hoops, which caught my eye because I do a lot of hoop dancing, and strings. And it was like they were trying to explain the connections of like mushrooms and like the mycelium like underneath the ground, and how like one person was in a hula hoop and the other one was in a hula hoop, and then like the strings were connected, and it was really cool. And I was like, yo, what is this place? Like, where am I? So yeah, I'm not going to say that I haven't like strayed away. I had a really hard like year at one point where like I just was not around like anybody. But then when I came back, it was like open arms, and like I haven't missed a Sunday since. So, yeah, like Corey said in my quote, like it is. It's for a place for the spiritually homeless where we all believe in the same energy. It's just told in a different way. So, yeah.
My name's Carol, and Corey actually met my spouse through some worky thing they were doing. And before Corey probably left the building, Sarah had emailed me and sent me one of Corey's podcasts because I've been looking for, an environment like this for years and years, and I just never, I'd walk in and walk out, and that was the end of it. I'm really diverse in my thinking, and I like all types of religions, and I just feel safe to believe that here, and that's why I'm here.
We love you.
I'm Chris. I'm actually clergy. I am involved, though, with several environmental groups. I'm a climate ambassador with BTS. I'm also active with Evangelical Environmental Network. And as far as most of our Christian denominations go, there's not enough talk about environmental issues. And these are justice issues. I serve on the Environmental Justice Committee with the New York State Council of Churches. And I am just infuriated by what I see as dominion theology. We just rip apart stuff, we refine it, we burn it, we harvest it, we mine it, and there's nothing left for the generations to come. And we are on the tipping point right now. And our next generations are going to be facing some real cataclysmic issues. And we in the church, all of us, we are stewards of creation. We've been given this wonderful gift. We need to leave something much, well, I like what the Boy Scouts used to say, leave nothing behind but footprints, take nothing with you but pictures. And we need to leave, where we go, we need to leave stuff better than where we found it. And this is where I'm at. And the Church of the Wild addresses this, so I'm here.
So I'm new here. I started coming in about January. And so my background, I've been involved in the church my entire life. I grew up evangelical. I became an evangelical pastor. So I spent 10 years pastoring in that context. And I got really frustrated during the COVID season, around when you were starting this, it seems, because of the lack of activism within the church. As we were watching the immigration crisis unfold, racism kind of rise up, it was really heartbreaking that the movement of love was being a movement of hate. So I left the church and I became spiritually homeless for about a year. I crashed with a friend in Atlanta while I was figuring myself out, and she was very active in Church in the Wild when she lived up here. So she encouraged me to check it out, and yeah, I found a home, which is very nice. And we're doing the faith in action thing, which is what brought me here, which is what I think should it just really resonate with, in this world where action is so needed. Faith groups like this are too, because so often we just get around and talk about ideas instead of actually doing action. And I love the tangible activism that's happening out of this church. And everyone loves each other, which is sweet.
Hello, new here. It's nice to talk to you.
Welcome. Okay.
Hi, my name is Dolly, and I'm a recovering clergy person as well.
Recovering or retired?
Same thing. The easy answer would be to say I came because Corey is my daughter. So, you got to back up the kid. But the truth is I retired early after 20 years as a denominational minister because I was just so frustrated. And there was just so much talk and no action. Year after year, quarter after quarter, and I retired. I had a great excuse in that my father was very aging and ill, so I've got to take care of my dad. And then he passed, so I came up here. And then since then I've been a regular attender of Church in the Wild, and At first, it felt really weird. After so many years of traditional church, it didn't quite feel like church, but now it does. So I keep coming back.
No pressure. Well, I always think it's a testament to hear that there are clergy here that enjoy this. Yeah. I know, there's a few, because Marcia was pastored for a bit, Jan, Doug. We've got a bunch here, and I think it speaks to this alternative need that we have for something a little bit deeper, for something connected to nature. And one of my new favorite things about Church in the Wild happened 3 weeks ago when Jack came walking down the hill and said, we didn't come together, but this is a friend from Davis College. So anybody locally knows Davis College was a very conservative Christian college. And here are two alum from Davis meeting at Church in the Wild. Like, I just thought that is a great testament to who we are and what we're about. That we are a place for people looking for adventure and exploration, and not just in nature, but in our spiritual lives, in our thinking, in our learning and growing together, that we have this need for wisdom and community, and we can find that in so many different places, in creation, here in this room, in silence by ourselves. But it's hard to find a community that is open enough for everybody to use their own preferred words for what we're talking about, for everybody to understand that we're all coming at this great mystery from different angles. And that's why I'm so grateful for this community that I started, because I didn't feel like I could really be my authentic self in any other traditional church in the area. So I wanted a place that I could be my weird nature-loving self, and other people were into that too. So thank you for being a part of this group.
Did she just call us weird? Yeah! I think she did.
Finally, someone else is calling you weird.
I'm just going to add something to what Corey said. I was with Corey when she worked on developing this church. You know, it doesn't just spring from nothing. It takes a lot of planning even to have something this unbounded. And so what everybody said was quite legitimate, and some really good reasons to celebrate coming here. But I also want to add that if you love traditional church and you love the church you're at, but, you know, like they say in The Little Mermaid, you know, I want more, you can do this too. If you want to go and sit and sing those ye old with an E on the end, hymns, but also come and experience some environmental justice, some deep talk about social action. If you just want to come to your sacred spot that is Sky Lake, which I know is true for so many of you, have another connection to Sky Lake, and you just want to come here and soak that up as well, you know, take a walk around the lake and then sit out on that deck, or in the winter, you know, meet in Riley with the roaring fire, looking out over the frozen expanse and listen to words of wisdom that will expand your heart. So there's a space for that too. Yeah, it doesn't have to come from a place of rejection, it can just be also a place of addition. Absolutely. Yes.
Yes, that's what it's all about, right? Just adding more. And I think that is another testament to who we are, is that we do have a lot of these double dippers, as I call them, that go to morning church in a traditional space, and that feeds their soul in some ways, and then they come here and that feeds their soul in other ways. And that's what this is all about, is like we're seeking that wisdom and that feeding from many different traditions and places. And so, yes, I love that. It's all about addition for Church in the Wild.
Because what did you talk about last week? Abundance.
Abundance, right. Yeah. There's so much. Yeah, Cheryl.
I first heard about Church in the Wild through like a Methodist publication that said Corey was going to be starting this church that was going to meet outdoors. And the church that I belonged to had occasionally, very occasionally, met outdoors, and I loved it because I've always had such connection to the sacred and nature. And this was very out of character for me. I called Corey up and said, I want to hear more about this. And I was gushing so much, and I think she was like, who is this person? But then I started going to the Zoom interest meetings and, got sucked in. There was something else I wanted to say, though. I think what keeps me coming is both the nature and the community, but also, I swear every church in the world on its sign says, all are welcome here. And so many just don't mean it, and this one means it. If you want to get up and walk around, if you want to do games on your phone while you're at church, if you want to just look at the lake, you don't have to look at the pastor, you can look at the lake. You can just be yourself. And the people that come here are welcoming, truly welcoming, even if they think you're weird. They'll welcome you anyway, because we're all weird in some way or another.
So I talk about you all. I want you to know, I'll confess, and I'll tell you what I say about this group of people. I say, somehow, this idea, attracts the most incredible people. And I mean that legitimately. And other folks who have come and gone and on life's journey are not around anymore, they are just, you are the most incredible people with such deep faith and spiritual lives and stories and just such a beautiful integration of different paths that connect here. And it really does, every week feels like its own unique little gathering, because it depends on who shows up, right? Because we all are bringing our essence, our energy, our lives, our baggage. We're bringing our whole selves with us to this space. And so depending on who shows up, it's going to have a different feel from week to week. And I just think about our beautiful altars that we create. We create something gorgeous with the gifts of nature every Sunday, and then we take it all down and we release it back, right? We throw it back to the wild. And that feels very Zen to me, like this non-attachment, like those sand mandalas that are these incredible works of art, and they just let the wind blow them away.
That's an upstairs that my grandfather built.
Right, yeah, we can't stake any claim to any of this stuff. This is all from the great earth that provides for all our needs. And here it is, and it's beautiful, and we all bring something, and then we release it, we let it go. And next week, we build another beautiful thing in the altar and in our circle. So I just say that because you are all so incredible, and when you show up, it matters. It makes a difference. It changes the vibe, right? We get a different ingredient to our community stew every Sunday. And I love that variety that we get to enjoy together, and the variety of conversation that we get to have. And that's the other thing I love about Church in the Wild, is that most of the time, somebody sitting says the most profound thing that Sunday. It is rarely me. And I love that. It takes the pressure off. And it is all about this community and what we bring, what's floating around in our minds, what we speak up and share. And I can't even tell you how many times, incredible connections get made around the circle. Or I just had a conversation with somebody, and then here on Sunday, somebody else is saying almost the exact same thing. And we get to make those connections and find our people. So in the weirdest, best way, thank you for being each other's people and for being here on this wild adventure of faith with us for these past 4 years and for however many years we have ahead of us. I'm just so grateful to have you with us here on this journey. So, amen, hallelujah. Let's keep it going.
Well, quite often we invite you to close your eyes, and you're welcome to close your eyes if that helps you get rid of distractions. But I'm going to be using the metaphor of a tree, so if you'd like to look out at the trees instead, feel free. So let's take a moment just to center ourselves in our bodies, in this sacred place, in this community. Feel your feet on the floor, the earth, your seat in the chair. The earth holds us by its gravity. Let yourself be held. And just notice the next few breaths that you take without needing to change them. The warm air entering, the cool air entering, the warm air leaving. We look to the trees, ancient teachers of rootedness, growth, and generosity. We look to this community now in its 4th season. This community planted with love, nourished by spirit, and stretched toward welcome and restoration. Let us breathe and listen to the quiet wisdom of the trees and to the unfolding story of this church. We give thanks for roots, places of beginning and grounding. This church began with a dream, a seed of hope planted in the soil of inclusion, justice, and respect for creation and all its inhabitants. Watered by courage, rooted in welcome, nourished by the wild spirit, fertilized by the wisdom of the spiritual traditions that have come before, rooted in the soil and water of Sky Lake, which has been faithfully tended for generation after generation, first by the people we call Oneida, then through other owners to the present stewards of this land. Over these years, This community's roots have deepened into the earth, into the wild spirit, into the lives of all who have gathered here. Feel into your own roots. What sacred soils nourish your becoming? What roots hold you steady when storms come? Let us give thanks for the deep places, for all that grounds this community, for all that grounds each of us. We give thanks for branches, places of growth and connection. This community has grown, stretching outward in compassion, lifting voices for justice, building shelter, and weaving connection. Each act of love, each moment of learning is a new branch on this living tree. Where is your spirit reaching? What longings within you are reaching toward the light? What connections have formed in your life like branches weaving together, helping you to hold on, supporting you as you reach out? Let us give thanks for each branch in this church and in each soul that is connected with it. We give thanks for flowers, fruit, and seeds, places of generosity and transformation. Like the tree, this church has flowered and fruited and spread its seed, offering beauty, nourishment, and new life to the wider world. Podcasts, prayers, protests, retreats, laundry nights, seeds of hope carried on the wind. What has been budded or flowering in you? What gifts have you offered to the wider world? Do not underestimate the small things, a smile or an encouraging email or text, a meal or a note of thanks. From small seeds, great trees grow. What seeds have you scattered into the world? Let us give thanks for all that has bloomed, fruited, and sent out its seeds, and for all that is still ripening, for all that is still in the process of becoming. We give thanks for dormancy and awakening, places of rest and resurrection. Even strong trees know the wisdom of winter, seasons of rest, of stillness, of gathering strength underground, times of quiet, of grief, of not knowing. This church has honored seasons of waiting and discernment, times of listening, of slowing down, of learning who we are. What in your life has been dormant, waiting for its time? what is now awakening, quietly ready to grow. Let us give thanks for the rest and for the rising, for the stillness that prepares us, and for the stirring that calls us forward. We return now to the center, to the heart of the tree, to the heart of this community. This is a tree of many branches. Its roots run deep, its canopy is wide. Its fruit is justice, and its breath is love. May we continue to grow together, rooted in spirit, reaching toward one another, twining our branches to support, stretch, and shelter one another, and to offer shade, beauty, and hope to a hurting world. And may the love nurtured here ripple ever outward, carried on the wind, planted in new soil, becoming blessing again and again. And so it is. Amen.
Thanks for listening. If you want to support Church in the Wild and the work we do striving for environmental and social justice, you can head on over to our website, churchinthewild.org/support, or you can click on the donation page link. There you can make a donation, set yourself up to be a recurring supporter, or you can buy something from our Redbubble shop. We're so glad you're with us on this journey, following the Spirit through creation, adventure, and restoration. Until next time.